Welcome to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. It's Waiver Wire Queen. In today's video, I'm going to talk about some players you should sell high on in a trade. Now, you got some players on your team who you drafted or you stumbled upon in free agency, and they are lighting it up. But you know deep down inside that they are unable to sustain this type of production for the remainder of the season. That this production they're giving you right now is short term, not long term. Well, we're going to talk about these players. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel so you are staying connected with the team throughout the week. And so you are able to stay ahead of your competition in fantasy basketball, because the goal is to act so we are staying ahead of our competition and win it every week. Let's get right to it, y'all. All right, so yes, I have some players that I stumbled upon mainly via free agency who have been lighting it up out there. I mean, these guys have been playing their butts off and it's helping my team. However, I know in my heart, all up in this heart, that they are unable to sustain this type of production. They will fall off a bit. And so I am going to dangle these players out here to get a player that I feel has more long term value for my team in fantasy basketball. Miles Bridges, y'all. That's right. So Miles Bridges has been playing extremely well. Now, let's just say his career stats are 14 points per game, 46% field goal percentage, and plays 21 minutes. So obviously, opportunity is there. PJ Washington is on the bench, and Miles Bridges has been added to the starting lineup. He's averaging 25 points, 8.5 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 2.5 steals, 59% field goal percentage, and he's playing over 35 minutes. Now, he's averaging over 40 fantasy points. He's never averaged over fantasy points. And based on his career statistics, you know he's barely averaged over 20. And he's ranked as the seventh fantasy player in fantasy basketball. So, yes, this is all shocking. I don't think anyone expected Bridges to make this jump, this big of a leap. Let's be real. You expected something similar to what he produced the previous season, and his based on his career statistics. For me, I expected him to improve because of the rapport he has with Melo, the great Melo. However, I wasn't expecting this, but nonetheless, I was able to add him to my team via free agency, and he is playing his butt off. He is helping my team win every night, and I know a lot of you out there feel the same way. However, deep down, you know that, okay, so say if he still has a good season, he's not going to sustain this over 40 points, fantasy points. It's just, I don't feel like he's going to sustain it. So you sell high, you may get a player for your team who's more of a better fit long term. Right now, you utilize it, but you need to utilize it and keep in mind that you have to make that move while his value is high as it is. His value is so high because he's a top 10 fantasy player right now, right? He's playing top 10, but you have some players out there who are supposed to be top 10, maybe even top 5, who are playing like they're top 100, maybe in the top 100, maybe not even in the top 100. But Bridges is playing his tail off. So right now is the best time to sell high on him and get someone who you know who has done it long term and help your team out for the long. Right now, yes, he's helping you win games, but there's going to be some games later on in the season that he may not be able to help you win because, say, that production is no longer there. So right now is the best time. It's a great time for Miles Bridges owners to make that trade and get all you can, and don't feel bad about it, because if it was someone coming to you in your league trying to make a trade, they're going to try to get whatever they can. They're going to try to get as much value as they can. And right now, as high as his value is, you sell high and bring in somebody who you feel is going to be there at the end of the season with that same production. Okay, let's talk about a rookie, because no one expected this. I don't think anybody was going to envision Chris Duarte playing out his mind. The only people who see this one coming was the Indiana Pacers. That's why they drafted him. Because even on draft night, I was like, huh? Why so high? Why so early? But nonetheless, they got it right. Obviously, that's why they got the scout team, and I'm sitting at home talking to you guys. But nonetheless, this kid is playing his tail off, averaging over 19 points, 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists, playing some solid defense, shooting a solid percentage from threes. Field goal percentage is 40. That has to improve, but nonetheless, who expected this? I don't even think most people drafted him. In a dynasty league, yes, but in a redraft league, you picked him up off of the waiver wire once you looked and was like, okay, this kid is playing his tail off. I got to add him to my team. Smart move. However, his minutes may go down because LeVert is going to be on his way to return, and you also got to think that maybe at some point in the season, TJ Warren is going to return. However, I still feel like they should keep him in the mix because this is no accident for him to be producing like this. However, if he goes back to the bench, those numbers are going to come down a lot, which is why sell high. You get as much value for him. Get a guard who you know who is going to be there long term. And you know that, okay, this is definitely going to be a starter. His position as a starter is in jeopardy because a vet is going to come back, and then two vets may come back, and he's going to end up on the bench potentially. So you sell high. If you are in a dynasty league, then you keep him and you got a nice stud. But in a redraft, you got to do what you got to do. Now, these are all redraft recommendations, guys. If you have Bridges, I would still say in a dynasty, you can find some value for him in a dynasty league. Or if you have Melo, I would say keep him because that's a great pairing for your franchise. Now, in a redraft, make some moves. And another player who's at the top of this list who you should sell high on like right now is Ricky Rubio. Don't be fooled by what Ricky Rubio is doing, okay? The Cavs are in rebuild mode, so I don't even understand why they are playing their veterans over 30 minutes. You're in rebuild mode. Aren't you trying to lose so you can get high picks? Honestly, I don't even know if the Cavs know what the hell they're doing. But nonetheless, Ricky Rubio was on waivers, and now everybody's rushing to pick him up, which is fine because he's producing. But what you want to do with that 30 fantasy points per game right now is to sell that to somebody else. Fool, let somebody else be a fool and take on that Ricky Rubio production because long term he's not going to sustain it. This is not normal for him. He's normally solid at times and then he'll fall off and he'll get right back on. You have to act now, okay? Don't wait any longer. If nothing else, if you don't trade any of these other guys on the list, Ricky Rubio should be your sell high right now, especially for a team who is struggling at the guard position and it says the categories base league and they are needing assists. Sell on Ricky Rubio's 9 assists a game and at 1.5 steal. You'll have someone throwing something at you that you would never even envision getting for Ricky Rubio. He's averaging 14 points, 4 rebounds, 9 assists. 1.5 steals per game. That is insane numbers for even Ricky Rubio, okay? Cavs are in rebuild. At some point, they're either going to trade, and then if he goes to a team that's a playoff contender, he's most likely going to be competing for minutes with other players who are in the rotation, and then his stats will go down a bit. So be smart. Don't be fooled by the Ricky Rubio production. Go on and make a trade for him now. If you're listening right now, get on the horn and trade him right now. And I don't mean like yes, I mean like right now. Don't even wait any longer because he'll have that one bad game and then that's it. So all my listeners out there, go on and do it right now, okay? Don't wait around for it. Okay, and let's talk about Montrezl Harrell. That's right. Traded from the Lakers. That didn't go so well. It didn't go well with the Clippers or the Lakers. I guess he just don't need to be on those LA teams. So he's with Washington. He's actually playing really well. 15.7 and a half rebounds and a little over 1 steal, and he's shooting a really high percentage, which I expect that to stay at that level. But I don't expect him to sustain this type of production because you have some really young players who will be coming back soon, and then you got Gafford in the mix. So I say sell on him right now, because someone out there may give you something that you do not expect, and you sell on the fact that, hey, he's 15-7 guy. He could potentially be a double-double guy. That is exactly what you tell him. Hey, I got this double-double guy, and it's not a low double-double. We talking about you're going to get 15, 16 points and at least 10 rebounds, and he's going to throw in a steal. Sell high right now before his value drops. And it may be due to the fact that other players that they have in mind for that team comes back. So if you wait, you're not going to be able to move him, or he may end up on your bench, which isn't a bad thing. But we sell high on him because you can get a lot of value back for him. You're high risk, high reward, right? It's risky to trade a player like this, but the reward is great because he's playing so well, and you can get a lot of value back for him. So you got to do what you got to do out here in these fantasy basketball streets. And like I said, again, don't feel bad, because if it was another manager, they would be coming at you getting all that they can. So this is a ruthless game out here in fantasy basketball. So it's no love. It's all about trying to do what you have to do to win. So if you got to sell them on, hey, this is a 15-10 guy. Come on now, 15-10. And they willing to give up the house for him. Don't feel bad. Say thank you from your team to my team and move on to the championship and win your league. All right, y'all, hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can stay connected to The Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast, because we'll be dropping videos throughout the week on none other than fantasy basketball, waiver wire tips, and some other great videos on top players in the league currently. Make sure you check out the video we released on Monday of some great players to add via the waiver wire. This video has some great information on players who are still available who can help your team right now. All right, y'all. Again, leave some comments and we will definitely respond to all comments. Anything about fantasy basketball, and again, anything about fantasy basketball related to this video as well, and we will respond to all of your comments and concerns. All right, y'all. Peace.
Thanks for listening to The Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to The Score for more fun and great advice on how to win at fantasy basketball. And if you've got comments or questions about The Score, send them to waiverwirequeen@gmail.com. The Score.